Robyn, thanks so much for joining us. To begin, I know you've been doing some really exciting work using participatory approaches. Could you just share that with our audience?
So I've been working with the Nature Conservancy on a community-based adaptation project in Papua New Guinea, the Solomon Islands and Micronesia, the Republic of the Marshall Islands. We've really been focusing on participatory approaches to both understand community-based adaptation, about increasing the resilience of communities and their ecosystems, but also how do we communicate that? So how do we upscale some of this work that's happening at the community level so that we can inform government and inform international agendas? So that's been a real focus.
What kinds of methods and approaches are you using specifically?
So the two key ones I'd sort of like to highlight that have been particularly successful are participatory video and participatory three-dimensional modelling, which involves making a flat-based map. The community create a three-dimensional model out of cardboard and paint, and then they identify the areas of interest to them and how they'll be impacted by sea level rise, other impacts of climate change, but also other issues such as mining, deforestation and things like that.
And what are the strengths of these approaches as you see it?
I think the strengths of the approaches is that we're moving away from a top-down approach. So they're not donor-led, they're not the Nature Conservancy-led, they're led by the community. So the community decides what goes on their map, how it looks, how it's painted. They make their own legend, they decide what issues are important to them. And particularly with participatory video, community members create their own storyboard and they make their own movie. And so we're not influencing that process.
And what have you taken away from this conference here then? There's been a lot of discussion about these kinds of methods and these kinds of approaches. What's been new and interesting for you?
I think what's been highlighted to me is that we're on the right track with our own work that we're doing in the Pacific, and what's really been great for me is that how innovative the small island developing states are in the Pacific, that they are doing things, they're not waiting for everybody else to tell them what to do, they're making their own decisions and sort of leading the way in a lot of this work. So that's been a really great thing, but it also, the conference has highlighted to me that we need to be even better at communicating these issues. So through participatory approaches, through getting things up on YouTube, we would need to get really smart and good at it.
And have you had a positive experiences in the past using these kinds of methods in terms of communication?
So, for example, in the Solomon Islands, there's a community called Shivako. It's a very small community of less than 1,000 people. They've been threatened by logging in the past and by pressures from logging companies, and this community, instead of bowing to that pressure, took a firm stance against logging. They're an amazing community led by an amazing man, and they made a movie about that, and it was posted on YouTube. It was a participatory video as part of this project that we're working on, and it was taken up by the United Nations, found this video on YouTube and approached Jimmy Karasika, who's the Lauru Land Conference of Tribal Communities Development Officer, and he was invited to go to the United Nations and present this video in front of a panel for their 25th anniversary. So that has been a real highlight, and from that's flowed on, and it's informing other communities now as well.
Robyn, it's an inspiring story. Thanks so much for speaking to us, and enjoy the rest of the conference.